right now. Give me a second. All right, and we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you get started on your fitness journey. How's it going, everybody? Hope y'all having a great day, great week so far. We have another podcast episode for y'all today, and we have a guest joining us. We have Miss Terry. I'm gonna butcher this. Tateossian. All right, we're gonna bring her onto the screen now. Just a little bit about us. This is a Fitness Beginner Podcast where we try to help people get started on their fitness journey, or people that are kind of newer, just to learn a little bit more about fitness. Because I just love fitness. It's done a lot for me, so I want to be able to spread that with other people, to try to get people, working on their health, fitness. We talk a little bit about everything. So yeah, we're just trying to inspire people to live a healthier lifestyle. So that's a little bit about us. If you would just introduce yourself and just tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Marty, for having me on. So I'm Terry Tateossian. I am going to be 50 years old next year, and in my late 30s and early 40s, I found myself to be very obese, or about 80 pounds overweight, as a complete beginner to strength training and any kind of athleticism. And so I had to climb my way out of that situation. I found myself in during peri-menopause, menopause, all those things, right? As women that we go through. And that's why I like to talk about it as well.
Awesome. So would you say there was one particular thing that kind of led you down that path of going obese, or just a collection of things that happened over time?
It was a collection of things. So I had my own company at the time. I started at the age of 25. And by the time I was 40, had over 30 employees, multiple contractors, multiple offices all over the United States. I was working pretty much 24/7. I had 2 babies by the time I was 35, and extremely overwhelmed, overstressed, overweight. Had really no education on nutrition, did not really understand how anything works, and that's anything about protein or carbs or fat. I didn't know what a macro was, never picked up a dumbbell. So yeah, it was an accumulation.
You said you lost, what, 80 pounds? Is that what you're at total? 80 pounds?
80 pounds, that's right.
Awesome. What is like the major difference you would say compared to when you were overweight? Like, if you just had to pick one, I know there's probably a lot, but if you just had to pick one, what's like the main benefit, or the main thing getting all that weight?
Your mic cut out.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear now. Yeah.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. It's okay. We'll get through it. It happens. Yeah, I was saying, so if you had to pick one, what's the main thing that you notice differently now? Maybe it's how you feel, maybe it's how you look at yourself. What's the main thing you see that's different now after you've lost 80 pounds compared to how you were before?
A lot of the mental anxiety has gone away, right? So when you're in the middle of a health crisis and you feel like your body is out of control, or it's out of your control, really, where your body is doing things that you're not necessarily wanting it to do, it causes a lot of mental stress, a lot of mental anxiety, because you feel like you have no control over which direction you're heading in. And so when you are gaining weight uncontrollably, it's very difficult mental health, essentially. So when you figure things out and you know how to manage your own health, your body, you know what's working for you, you know what doesn't work for you, you have a lot less of that kind of mental noise going on.
Yeah, it's definitely just as mental as it is physical working out. I definitely that's one of my main things I enjoy from it as well. So when you first decided that you were gonna, start working on your health, what was the first thing that you did? Like, how did you take that first step? Because I feel like that's where a lot of people get lost, or they don't really know what to do, or they don't know how to do it. So what was that first thing that you did that got you going, that got you in momentum?
I did all the wrong things first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a lot of yo-yoing, a lot of researching different diets on Amazon. At one point, very recently, actually, I found out that there are over 30,000 diet books on Amazon in all different types of categories, right? So you got keto, paleo, South Beach, vegetarian, all these different diets. Then you have all the different super restricted diets, like eat one celery stick per day, an apple the whole day, or just drink juice or whatever it may be, right? So I went through that entire process in the beginning and tried every single diet I thought I could do. And they all worked initially, right? So for like a couple of weeks, they all worked. I lose some weight, and then I would completely fall off the wagon because they were not sustainable. And at the end of the week, back plus some. And so I did it for quite a while, and then I just dawned on me, like, hey, diets are not working out for you. You need to come up with a different plan. And then I decided, okay, I can't really not eat anything all day. I need high volume because I was active. I was active mentally, and I started becoming more and more active physically. And I started doing a ton of cardio and eating very large amounts of salad. And I did. I lost some weight, but then I realized, okay, so this is not sustainable either, right? I lost about 30 pounds doing this, and I got really paranoid that I was going to gain it all back. And this time I finally wisened up and asked for help. I hired a professional coach who was able to teach me that, hey, you can't just eat salad all day. You need to eat sufficient amounts of protein. You need to actually lift weights in order to give your body a shake once the body fat comes off. And you need to get all the macronutrients. You can't, it's not really sustainable. You can't come off this diet. You can go into a reverse diet and expect not to gain weight if you've been in an unsustainable lifestyle. And so essentially a lot of trial and error, and then I finally wised up and asked for help. And that's what's helped me really understand intellectually what is the right approach and what works for me and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I like that you said that you hired a coach because I recommend that a lot. Hire a coach, because they can cut the whole part out where you said you tried all the wrong things, you tried all the wrong diets. So just skip that part and go ahead. Yeah, it's going to cost you some money. You're going to have to invest in your health, but I think that's a great thing to invest in. So come up with the money, invest in a coach. Obviously, do some research on your coach. Don't just hire anybody. Just somebody that knows what they're talking about because they can make that initial process a whole lot shorter and a whole lot easier for you to like understand it, to know what you're doing it the right way. So I highly recommend get you a coach if you can. I know some people can't afford them; they are kind of expensive. I know that, but if you can, it definitely will help. It's definitely worth the investment if you can afford it.
Ultimately, though, I feel like having a coach is less expensive because when you start understanding, your Starbucks latte, with extra foam and caramel cream or whatever, it's like $10, right? So if you hire a decent coach and you work with them online, it's about the same price as a, frappuccino from Starbucks. So per day, right? And then you get to save a lot of money on buying food products that we're going out to eat, for example, as much as you normally do, because you start to understand that that's not really conducive to your health. You start making better decisions. Essentially, you save money by having a coach rather than spending more money.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is people don't see it that way. They're not looking at it and through that lens. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you're eating, going to the grocery store and buying your food rather than, going out to eat all the time, at the end of the day, you will save money, like you said. And you're not buying a bunch of junk. You're just buying what you need. So yeah, you can save money that way for sure. It's just most people don't recognize it that way. They're not looking through that, that fitness mindset like me or you look through. So you mentioned a little bit about earlier about eating protein. So we see protein everywhere nowadays. So obviously people know it's important. But why is it so important, especially for women? It's like everybody always associates protein normally with men because men want to get bigger, stronger, things like that. But it's just as important for women and their health. So why would you say it's just as important for women as it is for men?
So recently I came on this study, and I can't remember the name of it, but if you, whoever's listening, if you Google it and find the correct reference for that, it says that a human being, and I'm not sure what the difference is between men and women, but generally we utilize 300 grams of protein per day in our body for all the different functions. And about half of that is reused daily. So the body recycles about half of that. So essentially, if you're eating less than your body requires per day in protein and amino acids, um, you are in a deficit in terms of your own body's ability to generate energy, to produce all the things, to perform all the different functions that it does. So your hair, your nails, your teeth, your eyesight, your digestive system, your hormone system, your reproductive system, all the things, right? Your muscle tissue, your bones, all of these things are constantly regenerating. Right, so I think your bones and your skeletal bones regenerate every 10 years, your stomach lining every 30 days, I think, or even your liver regenerates. And so in order to be able to do that efficiently and properly, you need to have protein. And a lot of women are used to eating, from my experience, what I've seen from where I came from is about 50, 60 grams of protein. So in essence, you're leaving a lot of room for improvement in terms of your health. And yeah, that's the short and long answer.
So, do you believe in the golden rule of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight? Is that kind of your philosophy?
That's what works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just such an easy one to go by. Because honestly, I think it technically would be a little bit more than what you really need, but it's just an easy way to, like, all right, I'm 180 pounds, I need 180 grams of protein. It's easier to do it that way. And if you actually do eat a little bit more, then it's not really gonna hurt you if you go over a little bit. So I like that rule.
Absolutely. Especially if you look great, it goes to all the right places.
hmm So when it comes to nutrition, what do you believe in? Like, what's your nutrition philosophy? Like, do you track macros? Do you follow a certain diet? What do you do?
So I tried every nutritional philosophy that there was out there. I really did. I gave it all a shot, and the thing that worked the best for me was macros, but they're generally periodized, right? And so with macros, there's no one particular diet that you follow or philosophy, or nowadays it's almost like a religion as far as nutrition is concerned. But you're kind of agnostic, right? So macros make you nutritional agnostic philosophy, where you eat according to a certain framework in where you like to eat. So whatever ingredients are interesting to your palate, but you structure your calories and what they consist of, meaning the breakdown is between protein, carbs, and fat, to align with your goals. So, for example, if I'm looking to cut down on body fat, I might readjust my macros to have a little bit less carbs, right? Or a little bit less fat while keeping my protein up. If I'm looking to gain weight, or if I'm in a cycle of building up or looking to gain more muscle, essentially, I would be increasing my carbs, increasing my protein. Most likely, my fat would stay the same. But you can manipulate, and you have the freedom to choose the direction in which you want to go. If you're looking to maintain the same philosophy, right? So that's generally what has worked for me.
Yeah, I like macros are a good idea, but sometimes I feel like they're kind of hard to track. So do you have any, like, tips for anybody if they want to try this? What would you tell them on how to, like, track their macros? Because it's kind of difficult sometimes for people, and I feel like people just give up on it. So do you have any, like, tips for anybody that wants to try tracking their macros?
Yeah, so the first thing you want to do is figure out your maintenance calories, right? So you want to know, okay, what am I consuming generally And am I gaining weight or am I losing weight? If you're not gaining or losing, you're in a maintenance phase. Based on that, you figure out how much of those particular calories that you're eating, let's say 1,800 calories a day, how much of that should come from protein, how much of that from carbs, how much of that from fat. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you are eating 150 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 40 grams of fat. Take those numbers, divide it by 5, space it out as 5 different meals, and then figure out what are the foods that are going to meet those goals for each meal, and just keep repeating them, right? Repeat them every single day. Same meals. The people that are the most successful in counting macros pre-plan their meals. So in advance, they know exactly what foods they need for the next day and the day after, maybe even the whole week. Right, so that's really the key in tracking macros. A lot of people think that tracking macros means that you track them as you eat them contemporaneously in real time, but that doesn't work for most people. Right, it kind of leaves a lot of room for improvement. Where at the end of the day, you're looking at your tracker and you're like, holy cow, I need to eat 70 grams of protein for dinner. Like, that's crazy, right? But if you pre-plan, it's a lot easier and a lot smoother, and you stay on track, especially if you repeat your meals every day.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to plan. You have to. I preach that all the time. I like preaching meal prepping. Like I meal prep, and that's how you plan ahead. That's the easiest way I've found. That's what works for me. So that's what I always tell other people to do. Like if you can meal prep, take a few hours out of your day on Sunday or Monday, whatever day works for you. Meal prep at least your lunches. Like at least do your lunch. You don't have to do every meal, just your lunch. And that it's so much easier to stick to your diet, stick to your macros, especially since you know ahead of time what your macros are in that meal. So it makes it a whole lot easier. Do you use an app to track yours, or how do you do yours?
I use chronometer, so I use my macros, but there's a lot of user generated data in there, and a lot of it was inaccurate. And then my fitness pal, same thing, a lot of user generated nutritional information, not always correct. Chronometer actually uses verified data, so you can rely on it a lot more, and it's a lot easier to use. They also just launched a really interesting feature where you can snap a photo of your meal in a restaurant, and AI automatically understands or assumes how much quantity is on the plate, and yeah, it's so easy nowadays.
Yeah, I've used that same app before. What's your opinion on the AI thing? Do you think that actually works? I feel like sometimes I feel like it could be close, but sometimes I feel like it's way off. It's not even close.
Depends, right? Depends on the lighting and depends on what's actually in your meal, right? So if it's something very saucy or like a soup or that kind of thing, it's not going to get it right. But that's just, that's now. I mean, it could improve.
Yeah, it definitely would be beneficial, like if you go to a restaurant, because you have no idea what's in your food at a restaurant, so it can at least give you an idea, give you a ballpark. So I think that is interesting. I've seen that on a lot of apps now that people are using that, so it's pretty cool. And it will just get better over time. It'll get better at predicting it, so that's pretty neat. But yeah, the apps are definitely the way to go. I've tried a couple different ones, but that way you keep it all on your phone. You always have your phone with you, so it's easy to track everything in there than just straight up guessing. So a lot of times when people they tend to lean to getting overweight, it's due to like emotional eating. So what are some tactics that you use to kind of overcome, emotional eating? Anything you can implement like throughout your day or in your fitness journey that's kind of helped you, overcome any emotional eating.
Yeah, so the first thing is to become aware that you are an emotional eater. So for probably over a decade, how long it actually took me to gain 8 pounds, I had zero clue that I had an eating disorder. It really is, especially when you have a tendency to emotionally binge, right? So it was a vicious cycle of super restrictive for a little bit and then completely fall off the wagon and you just face dive into usually sugar in my case, right? And I didn't understand and I didn't know that that was considered to be disordered eating because I only thought anorexia, bulimia, and more clinical type of disorders was what would be considered an eating disorder. 100% have that. And so when I was first told that, hey, you have an eating disorder, you're an emotional eater, it was a life changing for me because it forced me to pay attention to my own behavior and to my own habits. And over time, I started seeing like, okay. So when this happens, you react in this way, right? You dump all your goals, you completely go off the wagon, you basically just go MIA on yourself really for a week. And then you come out of your slumber and you're like, oh, I'm going to start all over again. And you just keep repeating that cycle over and over again. And once I started realizing that that is what I was doing, that was my pattern, and started noticing how my reactions or my behavior were affecting my health and my goals, little by little, I was able to make moderations or alterations, or, for example, expect that at some point I would fall off the wagon, right? And then have a contingency plan to mitigate that. So what I started doing at one point is I knew that I would go for kind of Haagen Dazs, for example, right? And that's 2,000 calories. That's like my whole day, right? In one sitting. And so what I started doing is I started creating my own protein ice cream bases and using the Ninja Creamy as my insurance plan. So when that situation occurred, instead of grabbing hot fries, I had ice cream ready for me. Things like that. So I would try and kind of work with myself rather than try to force myself to white knuckle it. And over time, I mean, for me, it's been now 12 years of working on this. I'm going to be 50 next year. I started this whole journey at 37, 38. So it's taken a long time, but over the course of years, I have been able to not even look at all.
Yeah, I just gotta give a big shout out to the Ninja Creamy. That thing is magical. I love a Ninja Creamy because I'm an ice cream fanatic. I love ice cream, and when they come out with the Ninja Creamy, it was like golden. It's the best thing ever. I got some in the freezer right now, ready to go. I got like 6 of those little cups, and I keep them on standby. I love that thing. I can make whole tub of ice cream for like 300 calories, and it's got 50 grams of protein, and I'm like, hey, I can make this work. I like it.
Yes.
But yeah, emotional eating is a tough one, and it's like you said, you got to become aware of it. That's the big thing. You got to become aware. And in today's day and age, it's so easy to get distracted while we're eating, and we don't even realize it. Like you're quick to sit down and turn on the TV and watch TV while you're eating, or scroll on your smartphone. You got the phone right by you at all times. You're scrolling, and you don't realize how much you're eating. So I've seen a lot of people now are talking about, hey, put your phone away, turn the TV off, and just by doing that, you'll be more aware of like what you're eating, how you feel while you're eating, and it probably lead to you eating less because when you're distracted eating, you will eat more than you typically would. So that's a little tip I have is try not to be distracted while you're eating. Try to put the phone away, turn the TV off, and we're all guilty of this. I do it too. But if you are, struggling with this, that is something that you can try that may help you out.
Yeah, and something else that I was doing back then is when I realized that there's two different types of hunger. You have emotional hunger and you have, physical hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when you are an emotional eater, the emotional hunger disguises itself as physical hunger. But once I figured out, like, wait a minute, I just had a massive meal that hit my macros. I shouldn't really be hungry, right? So I'm not physically hungry. I'm just looking for something. So it's not because I have a physical need to eat. It's because I'm bored, tired, sleepy, whatever, right? And the more you practice this, the more you ask yourself, am I actually really hungry? Because if I'm really hungry, I should go have my prepped, meal prepped, meal rather than snacking all over the place. So just differentiating between physical hunger and emotional hunger.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that because I get hungry when I get bored. Like if I don't have nothing to do and I'm sitting at home, I will find myself going to the kitchen and getting a snack, and I'm bad about that. And it's like you said, I gotta catch myself doing. I gotta be more aware so that I can not fall for that. But also, I do have meals prepped in the fridge, so if I am actually hungry, I can choose to eat that instead of just snacking on some junk food or a protein bar or something. Um, but yeah, that's definitely a real thing. Emotional eating and actual physical hunger is two different things. So, what is the difference between a primary food and a secondary food?
Well, that's exactly it. Great question. So primary foods are joy, happiness, love, all feelings, right? That's primary food. Secondary food are the actual foods that we consume. And a lot of times people are deprived of primary food, which is what leads them to overconsume the secondary food. So primary food is food for your soul, secondary food is food for your body.
I've never seen somebody break it down like that between a primary and a secondary food. So that was interesting to me.
Yes, you need to feed all parts of your being, right? So a lot of people, especially in midlife, they get to their 40s and 50s and they ask, like, well, is this all there is in life, right? Because there's unfulfilled in some way. So that's primary food.
So, as somebody has lost 80 pounds, what does your workouts look like? Like, what are you doing for workouts now? And do they look different than when you first started?
They look exactly the same. Yeah, so nothing really has changed except the weight on the bar. I am a lot stronger now than I was when I first started. But the actual exercises have really not changed much. They're all made fundamentally lifts with a lot of accessory work. And so, cardio it depends on the goal. So cardio is what changes throughout the season. So if I'm looking to drop my fat, I have more cardio. If I'm looking to stay, maintain or gain weight, cardio goes down. Steps are usually about, I'd say, 7,000. Most days I get about 12. But that's it. That's it. And I'm gonna add it. The older I get, the more mobility work I need. And so I have added quite a bit of yoga into my routine just to keep my joints in the right place. And the other thing is the more muscle I have gained, the more muscle I have built, the more I feel I need mobility and flexibility work because the muscles kind of keep everything really stiff and yeah, they kind of restrict mobility of your shoulders. So I like a lot of yoga and Pilates as well.
So, how many days a week are you working out?
I did about 4 days of resistance training, 4 to 5. Abs, I count that as a day off. And usually on ab day and on my day off, I'll do some yoga or Pilates. So I do something every day. Yeah, 7 days.
I'm just curious because a lot of people like to know like how many days people are working out. But yeah, I like to say you don't have a day off, so I always recommend doing some kind of active recovery on your off day, whether that's stretching, just walking, go for a walk on your day off. I think that's good. Things like that. Like you said, you do abs, so that's a good little auxiliary workout you can do. So I'm always just curious as to what people's training plan looks like. 'Cause mine, like you said, mine changes by the week by whatever I'm training for at the time. Like right now, I'm only working out 3 days a week, which is not a lot for me at all because I added in running, so like I'm running now, so I switch it up sometimes.
Yeah, me too. I think it's so great to kind of switch things up. Like, you know, being at this now for 12 years, people ask me, like, how do you not get bored? Like, isn't it boring to do the same thing over and over again? And I go, yeah, so like, when I get bored, I'll find some other thing to do, right? So, like, I'll jump rope, or I'll go running, or I'll set myself randomly, like, compete with myself, some kind of challenge, or I'll take the ball and do something goofy and use that, my height as cardio or whatever, right? So like come on with an activity that you want to do, that's fun, it's also helping you get your cardio, which is that's and it's that. But generally my strength is the same.
Yeah, I recently, back in 2023, I guess, I kind of picked up endurance sports a little bit. So I've been doing some triathlons. I did an ultra marathon, doing a bodybuilding show. So it's like anytime I get bored, I'll just switch it up and do something different and train for something. There's so many different like disciplines of fitness that you can try. So there's always something you can do to change it up, try different workouts, different exercises, train for different things. I like to give myself a goal. That's what helps for me. It's if I can give me just like one main goal, then I can focus on that, and that'll help me like stay on my training plan. So like whether the goal be the ultra marathon or a goal be a triathlon, and yours don't have to be that crazy. It could be something that's I want to increase my bench press by 10 pounds or whatever that goal may be, or increase my squat or whatever. Like maybe it's something to do with yoga or Pilates. You just pick a goal. That's what helps me because I can really dial in and like focus my training on that goal, and it helps motivate me more. Because you'll get bored. You'll get bored if you go in the gym, you do the same thing, you know, don't change it up. Like you will get bored. So I recommend people try to set you a goal. Once you achieve that goal, set a different goal. Not necessarily the same goal, but like make it something different. Like if it's say for example it's your bench press, next time maybe make it a cardio goal or maybe make it a squat goal, something different. So that's kind of like a little hack that I use to help me not get bored or get just going there doing the same thing each and every day.
I've been adding Kairos training. I've been like looking at it. I'm like, can I do this? And they actually have a category for me. So
Oh, what? I'm sorry. What was that? You have a category for what?
Kairos.
Oh, high rocks. Yes. Yeah, I want to do one of those. I'm looking into doing one of those next year. Every time I tried to do one this year, but I couldn't. I didn't get any tickets, so I'm gonna try to. I think they have one in Houston, like in March, and I really want to. I want to do that one, so I'm gonna try to enter the lottery and see if I can get in it. I really want to do one though.
It looks like to me, I know there's a lot of running in it, so it's a lot more running, I think, than a CrossFit competition. But it looks a lot like personally, but a lot something that you do. Personally, I'm not just like pushing, so there's a strength and some with there's so much calisthenics. I'm not that great at calisthenics. Where CrossFit is a lot more than that, right? And so I feel like, wow, I actually might have a chance to.
Yeah, it's definitely popular. I have a friend doing one in Dallas, and actually this month sometime they're doing one in November. So yeah, I'm gonna do one. That's on the list to do. That's definitely something I'm gonna train for. So let's see. I'm trying to think of questions that other like beginners would get benefit from someone that's been there and they've done it. Because I come, it's difficult for me to understand where other people are coming from because I'm the complete opposite than you. So like I was underweight and had to gain weight to get up to weight to build muscle. Yeah,
That's hard.
I'll say I would disagree. I disagree with you, but
Really?
it's different. I mean, it's different. It's both hard. Both of them are hard. But sometimes it's hard for me to relate with people that had to lose weight because I've never been overweight like that. I was actually the opposite. I've always very skinny. I was very active, played sports growing up, so I was always running around, super active. Never had a chance to build any muscle to gain any weight because I was just running all over the place. Um, but yeah, but as soon as I found the gym, I was hooked. Like I fell in love with it immediately because I saw myself put on some muscle. I got stronger. I started working out for sports in high school, and I loved it. So like ever since then, I never quit. I started working out my freshman year of high school, and I've never stopped. I've done it ever since. So I kind of have a different. I have a hard time like relating to other people that have lost weight because it's not. We're on different journeys. So I like I like talking to other people that have done that. My mom lost like 100 pounds. Like she had a crazy weight loss journey. So I like hearing other people and their stories to because I know it can help other people out there similar to you. So I like asking questions that'll help like what you've actually done in your journey and not just what you see on the internet, because a lot of times there's a lot of kind of BS out there nowadays on the internet.
100%. Yeah, I see so much fake stuff. And I was actually talking to somebody yesterday about this. Um, I'm so grateful that I did this 12 years ago and I didn't wait until now, because it's actually gotten way more complicated and confusing nowadays than it was 12 years ago, because now you have all of these GLPs out there, right? So a lot of them are pushing that as the way to do it without really changing your habits and lifestyle and just staying on drugs forever. And there's a lot of other options out there, especially for women. And I feel like we're getting targeted a lot at mid-age. Like midlife women are just the target of all of these ads, right? So it makes it even more confusing, because by the time you get to 40, 45, you've had possibly kids, you've had more responsibilities at home, at work, less time, right? And hormones are starting to change. And so women feel really desperate, right? They're out of control. Like things are just going in a direction, and you're like, whoa, what is happening, right? And so all these companies are taking advantage. So it's a lot more complicated. When I started school journey, there was no HRT that I knew of. It wasn't as popular. It wasn't GLPs doing what's out there either. And so I had to do it the old fashioned way, and I'm really grateful for that, because I had to learn how to take care of myself without being dependent on the internet.
Yeah, there's a reason the old fashioned way still works today, because like that's the right way to do it. It is interesting with the GLP-1s nowadays. It's kind of like a cheat code in my opinion. Like I'm not necessarily against GLP-1s. I'm really not, because I do think they could help a lot of people, especially getting started. Like I think they can kind of kickstart people's journey, but I think it's gonna go too far. Like you don't want to take it too far and be dependent on it. And the main thing, if I had to give, if you're gonna take GLP-1s, I highly recommend workout, like weight train, lift weights if you're gonna do GLP-1s, because it's gonna, just eat away at your muscle, because you're not gonna be eating nothing, so your body's just gonna tear down your muscle. So I think you really should be working out if you're gonna be taking. You need to be working out. Period. Like not working out, but I mean strength training specifically, especially for women. I think women they lean more towards the yoga and the Pilates and things, but I think strength training is just as equally as important for women as it is for men, especially as you age. I think strength training is great in every way, like for your metabolism, for your muscles, for everything. So I think we need to keep, and people are starting to realize it now. Like strength training is important, and we need to do it, because like the old school way of losing weight was just I'm gonna go run. I'm gonna run and run everything off, and that's how it's going. That's how I'm gonna do it. But I think people are finally starting to realize that strength training is just as important, as doing the cardio to lose weight for long term. Like cardio, it's great for short term. If you want to lose some weight really quick, it's great, but you're not gonna be able to sustain that. It's not sustainable. So that's where the weight training comes in. You can actually sustain it. You don't have to weight train 6, 7 times a week. You can do it 2 times a week and still see results. So
Absolutely. And hopefully you fall in love with it and you want to do it every day.
yeah, for sure. And there's different, like I said, we were talking about earlier, there's different disciplines of fitness. You don't just have to do one. Like you don't just have to do, bodybuilding, weightlifting in the gym. Yeah, that's like what you think of when you think of lifting weights. It's like a bodybuilding style training, or maybe like a powerlifting or something. But there's other areas, like there's all kinds of different workouts you can do. Like you said, high rocks is one, or CrossFit. There's all kinds of different things. Strength training, Olympic lifting. There's so many different things. Pilates, I think, is great. You got different ways to mix it up, and you can do multiples. Like if you say one day you do yoga one day of the week, The next day of the week, do some Pilates, do some strength training. You can switch it up. There's so many different ways. I say try all of them and figure out which one you like the best. Because let's be honest, some of them you're probably not gonna like. You're not gonna enjoy. Some of them you may really like. So try them all out and figure out which one that you like the best and kind of stick to that.
I love that. I love that advice.
Yeah. So if somebody came up to you today and said, "I want to lose 80 pounds just like you," what would you do? What's the first thing you would tell them to do?
The first thing to do is work on your mindset, in my opinion. So take away the expectations that you're going to lose this weight in 3 months. Take away the expectation that you're going to be perfect, that nothing's ever going to go wrong, right? And expect that things will go wrong and that you will be prepared for that. And that you're prepared to fall off the wagon, prepared to fail. And that's not going to be the end of the world. Be prepared to be in it for the long haul, right? So you're going to be in this process for about, I would say, 10 to 12 months. And your lifestyle is going to change. You're going to stop people pleasing. You're going to make yourself a priority. You're going to dedicate the time to do what is necessary, what's required. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need anybody's support. You don't need anybody to encourage you. You don't need any of those things. You just have to make a commitment to yourself right now, today, and forward. Right? And once you have that devotion to the process, once you feel like you're all in, even if things go wrong tomorrow, you don't have time or whatever, right? You're not going to quit. So make that commitment not to quit, and then start working on your nutrition and hire a coach. Right? And a coach, you can maybe just use them for a month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, whatever, just to get you going. It doesn't have to be a lifetime. But it's your nutrition, number one thing. You're not going to drop like that if your nutrition is not on point, period, and sentence. It doesn't matter how much you train. It doesn't matter how much you run, how much cardio you do, how often you go to the gym, what kind of sleep you have. None of that matters. If your nutrition is not on point, you're not going to drop body fat, right? That's what we're looking to drop. So, because losing weight isn't anything, but specifically dropping body fat, you need to have your nutrition on point, and then start going to the gym once, twice, 3 times a week. Do a little bit more walking than you normally do. So if you normally do only 1,000 steps per day to try to get 3,000, just start moving a little bit more. And little by little, you'll start to feel better. And as soon as you start to feel better, you're going to want to do more. You'll be able to do more. You'll have more energy to do more. Imagine. So, Mark, imagine I give you an 80-pound backpack right now, and you put that on. And I tell you, you have to walk, sleep, eat, move, do everything with this backpack on. How are you going to feel on day 3, for example? That's how we feel when we have an extra 80 pounds weight. If we have to sit, it presses down onto your body, it weighs you down. You can barely go up the stairs. You can't really run. They don't feel good. You're uncomfortable, and yeah, we get used to it, but your body's not made to carry that weight. Like if you're not built, like if you're not 9 feet tall, whatever it is, right, to be able to carry that weight on you, it's not going to feel comfortable. And so the more the weight comes off, the lighter you're going to feel, the better you're going to feel, happier, more energy, and you're going to keep going. The key is not to quit on the shitty days.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle change, and it's not going to be easy. I like to use the 80-20 rule. That's what I use because it works for me. Like I say, you're not going to be perfect. You're probably going to fall off at some point. But as long as you can, you can do right 80% of the time, the other 20% of the time, you can kind of slack off a little bit. But don't bank on that. Don't say, "Oh, I got 20% to play with." I wouldn't bank on that. I would just use that for the day you do fall off, or use that for the day you go to a birthday party and you want to eat a piece of cake. Like, it's definitely you're not gonna be perfect, and it's gonna take time. I like how you mentioned it's not gonna happen quick. Like, it's not. Anything that happens quick is not going to last. Like, yeah, you may drop 30 pounds in a month. It's possible, but you're not going to keep doing that. It's not going to last. And you're probably going to put the weight back on. So I think a lot of people are very impatient, especially when it comes to losing weight, because they have that first month and they drop a lot of weight and they expect that to happen, and that's just not sustainable. So you got to be in it for the long haul. It's gonna take time. I always say you should quit. Don't look in like time frames of a week or a month. You should be looking in time frames of a year or 2 years or 3 years. Like, go ahead and widen that span up a little bit. Quit thinking of months and think of years. It'll take a while. Like you said, you've been doing it for 12 years now, and you're still improving each and every day. I'm the same way. I've been about 12 years as well, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So uh, it's a lifestyle habit. It's not really something you're gonna do for a given period of time. It's like, I'm not gonna do this for 2 years. I'm not gonna do this for 6 months. I'm doing this for the rest of my life. It's forever. So I think that may be a little scary to some people. uh, let's see. I just was gonna ask you something I don't forgot. Is there anything specific for women when it comes to nutrition that you recommend that may be slightly different for men? Is there any like nutrition women specific advice that you would give?
Women need to eat a lot more food than they eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so a lot of women are chronically undereating is what I have noticed with working women is we're just conditioned to eat less and do a lot of cardio. And so the protein intake the average woman is about 40, 50 minutes per day and very little food. And over time, as we get older, that starts to work against us because our metabolism is not as robust, we don't have as much muscle mass, osteoporosis is coming on the door, menopause, all these things, they require fuel, and they require nutrients, lower feed nutrients, lower nutrients, all of these things. And so I think a lot of women have a misconception that they need to eat very little, when in fact, they're going to feel a lot better with high quality foods that have low protein, the right carbs.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely see this in women, if they're under eating for sure, because they're trying to not gain weight, not do all that, so they eat less. I see this firsthand myself. But what we really got to do is work on building that metabolism. Eat more food, more protein, build your metabolism so they can eat more food and not gain a bunch of weight from eating that. Because like my people think I'm crazy because I eat so much food. I'm like, y'all don't understand. I'm hungry all the time because I work out a lot and I've built my metabolism. I already have a high metabolism as it is, but then I'm working out and I'm running strength training, and I'm eating high volume food, like high protein food. So I eat a lot of calories, and most people think I eat a lot. I'm like, no, this is what I have to eat in order to replenish everything that I'm burning. So I think the more we can build that metabolism up for everybody, is better. If you're eating less than 1,500 calories a day, you're not eating enough food. Let's be honest. So we got to get the food up. I think you see that more in women typically than you do in men, but it goes both ways. So is there any like gimmicks that you see out there nowadays that are like a myth that you see that you would like to debunk? Something you don't agree with or you think's just straight up wrong? And there's a lot of them out there nowadays, but is there any that comes to your head?
Yeah. Oh, Lord. There's, you know, all the supplements.
Mm-hmm.
You need supplements for everything. And I'm like, well, how would I know? Did I see a blood work? Maybe even if you gave me a blood work, I tell you no. Right? I just am not a doctor. I can tell you what supplements to take because I don't want any deficiencies all the time. Right? And so supplement companies pushing a lot of different supplements to that. So if you need it, there you have it. But just taking a whole bunch of breaths, otherwise I feel like they can be more cabbage and so knowing what you do is really important. Radish and help you pick up.
Yeah, I like to say supplements are a supplement to your diet that you shouldn't be relying on them and shouldn't be you don't necessarily need them unless you're deficient in that area. So whatever you're deficient in, that's what you should supplement with. And yeah, it's like you said, a lot of it's just marketing. They want you to buy their product, and most time, like supplements are only going to help you, this much. Like you should be getting all your nutrition stuff through your diet, through whole foods, through natural whole like your actual meals that you eat. That's where most of your nutrition should come from. And then the supplements are just going to help you out like that a little bit. So like most people are probably a waste of money if we're being honest. Most people are just wasting their money on them, taking them. Because especially if you're not eating right, like if you're not doing the other things to work, to eat, a balanced diet, working on your health, working out, fitness, things like that. If you're not doing all those things, then you might as well not take the supplement because you're definitely wasting your money because they're not going to supplement's not going to overcome the fact that you are eating a bunch of junk. Like it's not going to help you out at all. So you might as well just save your money if you're doing that. So like say your diet gets you 90% of the way there, those supplements are only going to help get you to 95%. They're not going to be the end all be all when it comes to things. But I do believe in supplements. Like I take protein, creatine, pre-workout. That's about all I take. I don't take anything else. They can help you. They can be beneficial. But they're not they're not that great. I mean, they do help a little bit, but not very much. So it is a lot of marketing involved.
Yeah, the only things I take are collagen and creatine. And I will sometimes supplement my smoothies with protein powder, but that's it. Like I don't do anything else really. And even vitamins, I don't take vitamins either. I try to get almost everything out of my food, and that's the benefit with chronometer, right? So when you travel, when you enter your meals into the chronometer app, it gives you all your stats on, how much, let's say, zinc you got for the day or, whatever.
Yeah, the apps are neat because they can give you a lot more details, like all the nitty gritty stuff. But yeah, you should try to get your protein in through your food. You shouldn't try not to have to rely on supplements. I mean, on the protein, try to get it in through your diet, and then if you need to meet your protein goal for that day, then supplement with the protein shake. So it can be good for that to help you meet those goals, especially if you're trying to build muscle. It's really important to hit that protein target. If you would just go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you. Shout out your social media, your website, where people can find you at.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, thehouseofrose.com. Again, my name is Terry Tateossian. You can find me on Instagram as well. My name is How Good Can It Get on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. I enjoyed our time together. Sorry for all the technical difficulties there.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you for having me, Murphy. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too.